Hello, brothers and sisters. Title of the message today is Being Led by the Hand of the Lord. Number 7, some people accuse our obedience. When he started our fellowship, most of our church members were students, college, sophomore, junior, senior students. Students who were poor but simple, pure-hearted, and cute. They did not give any burden to me. As time went by, brothers and sisters graduated from college. They got a job. Sisters who were attending nursing college got a job first. But brothers had to go to the army. They couldn't get a job yet. Brothers and sisters were old enough to get married, but as their life was not stable yet, it was a little bit too early. But as there were many young people, there seemed to be a competition. Some people wanted to hurry up and get married. The church life became confused. In the world, it is natural, but we live as one community life. It was not that simple. I was agonized at first, and I told brothers to demonstrate the spirit of concession. Let's discuss when everything is ready for wedding. If you hurry up, many brothers and sisters will collide at each other. Let's be careful, because we have to spend the rest of our life together in one community. This statement went aside. Those people who don't know our situation spoke ill of us. It became a stumbling block for our ministry. Integral Church marriage is not free. Everybody must obey to the pastor. Their pastor is somewhat strange. Maybe it must be just like Moonies of the Unification Church. They began to murmur, rumors spread all over. Some people went out of church, other brothers secretly quit church, and some people hesitated to come to church. If we attend that church, we cannot get married freely. Church will mess up our life. Maybe they saw the sword of flame, and maybe they saw the cherubim. Other people thought, that's no problem. I'll do whatever I like. Who can block me? Some were brave, still others just obeyed and just waited. As for me, I was afraid something disgraceful thing would take place in our church. If I don't impose restriction, I could not stop thinking. I also thought, if they cannot commit their marriage to church and they get married according to their own free will, how can they obey to God's order? Can those people follow God's will? The brothers had more problems than sisters. They confessed, I want to risk my life following the Lord, but because of their marriage problem, they can betray the Lord. Suppose they just lead religious life and go to heaven after they die. For those people, obedience is not so important. But those people who confessed, I'll follow the Lord with single mind, risking my life, if they cannot overcome here, their future is more negative, I thought. I looked at brothers very seriously. I could not afford to have another thought, even a little bit. Brothers' thoughts were shaking. Other people gossip about our church. I knew, but I didn't care. I felt it was crisis. Because brothers declared we would follow the Lord, forsaking everything. Brothers got married one by one. They did not have any problems on both sides. Sisters got a job. They're ready to get married. But brothers didn't get a job yet, in spite of the fact they tried to hurry up. That was a problem. Adam took the fruit of good and evil, the which Eve gave him, without any consideration. Even God couldn't stop him. But why did I try to stop them? Suppose I knew it earlier, I could have not done that. When a man is young and single, the most important thing is marriage. There are so many important things in our life. If he cannot be obedient with this issue, whenever they face problems, they will try to solve those problems with their own thoughts. Then they cannot overcome that problem. Those people who follow God must cross the river anytime. Abraham had to pass through processes until he got Isaac. He had to wait until he became 100 years old. I thought brothers could pass through processes through marriage and then follow the Lord. But brothers felt as fearful burden. In fact, there was no difficult burden. There was nothing for them to feel fearful. On the contrary, a beautiful gift are waiting for them, but they were afraid. Their will and Lord's will may be different. I am not the type of person who will force brothers to marry a certain appointed spouse, but their wild imagination made them afraid. It was a question for me. In reality, those brothers who carry the burden were quiet, but other brothers has more trouble in their hearts. Well, if they think it is a burden, it's inevitable. Turning thanks is subjective, and agonizing is also subjective. Before the cup arrives, looking up the Mount Gethsemane far in advance, in a distance, I am dying as my mind is filled with agony. Lord, let the cup pass by. Some brothers prayed in such a way. In fact, I have weak-minded person. I don't want to let other people carry the burden. I'd rather carry the burden myself and fall down on the ground. It makes my heart more comfortable. I did not give any burden to them, but I could not understand those brothers who imagine the burden in advance and become agonized. Brothers were naive, just like children. Even they felt difficulty, they could not run away. They just stayed as they are and just became agonized. About these kind of people, people of the world cannot understand them. They left their own home. They had difficulty getting a job, but after they quit their job, went down to Daegu, where they have no acquaintances, their family members could not understand them. Family members, relatives, and acquaintances, they might have thought that very person is walking entirely the wrong way. There were parents who thought church took my child from my hands. Friends thought church took my friends from our hands. Their environment was not easy, but brothers didn't mind about that. But then they were entangled by unknown power temporarily, as they were deceived, but they were captured by the hand of God already. Some brothers, their hearts are shaken, but my mind was not shaken because I trusted our brothers. I trust them who made up their mind to follow the Lord. After some time passed, I realized to play the role of God is so difficult. I think God is really having a hard time sitting on that position. If something goes wrong with them, I have to take all the responsibilities. Maybe nobody would blame me, but it is quite natural. I could presume myself, as I expected, as time went by, Satan's accusation was continued on. If you obey, will your life prosper? Well, even you obey, nothing went well. These kind of accusations pass through church like the whirlwind. Why tribulation comes to the righteous person? Why do the obedient person suffer difficulty? As the church was started, the unwanted crabgrass and thistles were growing. Life grew up stronger and deeper even in adversity. Receiving the challenge of crabgrass and thistles, they try to cover up the tree. Those who obeyed, they made excuses, received the accusation of Satan, but their life grew up and enforced. Satan is a deceiving one. We don't have to be deceived. God opened up deeper words to me. Even there is no tribulation and adversity, can we get the kingdom of heaven? Can we express the Lord's glory without the accusation, just with the applause of Satan? After all, the world must become fertilizer for the eternal life. If we love the world, life will die, and if we consider that the world is dead being and use it as fertilizer, we can get the victory. Subtitle number 8, Community Life. In order to travel, we need money. In my 20s, I had no money and I couldn't go anyplace. As I received the hospital treatment for several years, I used up all my money. It was okay, I was still living. I ran a small mini mall. I had no money. I had nothing to do. I could not go forward or backward. Even these days, if my health becomes poor, I dream about that dark and dismal experiences in that past. I wanted to borrow some money, but I could not get any money. I could not plunk down on the street. My mom was waiting for my money. I could not commit suicide secretly. I could not do anything. I was really wandering around that time. That experience became a shadow in my life and following me all the way. But after I received Lord's calling, I did not need to worry about money. It was really mysterious for me. When I was driven out of my denomination and when I was driven out of Campus Crusade, it was the same. Just with about 20 students, we were driven out of the isolated island, but we didn't worry about anything. Just had fellowship every day. We were traveling without any money, but some reality was hidden. After we came out of Campus Crusade, Brother Jason Lee, who easily catch cold, went out to the Language Institute, scarf around his neck early in the morning, and made money and supported brothers and sisters. And his wife, Sister Kyung Sun Yum, provided food to brothers and sisters anytime. Until the time when parents moved from Suncheon to Daegu and moved to Taemyeong 5-dong. I know how many years, but she always provided food to all the brothers and sisters from the very beginning. Even parents came, she continued to do that. After Brother Jason Lee moved out, the Sister Hyun Bae-seo, Sister Soo Hee-jang, and Brother Chang Yong Lee, Brother Hwang Soo-che cooked for themselves. Brother Jason Lee and I lived together over 5 years, but as we were separated because of parents, I joined in penthouse self-cooking family. As my family moved from Checheon City to Daegu City, life became so much complicated. My wife opened up a ladies' dressmakers, and our family members lived at that room right next to the dressmakers. In one room, 5 of us were living, and in a small room, my mother and my niece Kyung-soo were living together. Beside our family members, 2 other sisters were always staying together, and during the weekend, more sisters stayed at our house. As the house was so small, my house was always crowded. Around that time, Chuncheon brothers and Chungju brothers, they got a job in Seoul. They lived together as they led community life in Seokwan-dong and Yeongdeung-po, and during the weekend, they visited Daegu. As my wife made money at the dressmakers and supported my family, but one day my wife had a terrible backache. We closed up the dressmakers. We moved to a new house. At that house, there was a magnolia tree. When we moved into that house, the magnolia flowers were in full bloom. As we closed the Mongyeon dressmakers and moved, the magnolia flowers welcomed us in full bloom. One day, Chuncheon brothers who were living in Seoul, the community living, they quit their job and came down to Daegu. They literally left their country, their people, and their father's household, and moreover, they quit their job and moved down to Daegu without any preparation. They were a little different from the people of Israel who left Egypt. They were similar with Abraham, who led his family members and arrived at the land of Canaan, I can say. Our life became more complicated. We had more than 20 people already, but now we had more than 40 people as brothers moved from Seoul down to Daegu. Sisters were living at our house. Brothers got a rent room and stayed there. They had food at our house. We did not have any solution for our problems, but Brother Wang Gyu Park told us there is a test for assistant teachers. So brothers studied for that exam, and later they all passed that exam, and they all got a teaching jobs. As the people of Israel entered into the land of Canaan, they were able to feed themselves. The assistant teacher exam was continued on for 2 years, and it was abolished. It was so mysterious. Maybe God wanted to give food to us so brothers could take that exam. And then it was abolished after brothers all got a job. Brother Kyung Yong Pyeon was an elementary school teacher. Later he quit and moved down to Daegu, passed the exam of assistant teacher and got a job. Brother Han Sung Jung and Won Sung Hong got a job in Pohang and moved to Daegu. Brother Sung Gyu Lee and Hyo Young Lee got a job at Yeongdong and moved down to Daegu. Brother Min Jae Lee got a job in Masan and moved to Daegu later on. Brother Tong Sub Yoon got a job in Busan. He couldn't move to Daegu. He was retired and moved up to Daegu. Brother Hyung-woo Lee had 2 kinds of licenses. At first he worked as a middle school, but he moved to elementary school, and later he was retired. These brothers were single-minded people. They just wanted to live with me in Daegu. They did not think about any other things at all. It was really a mysterious thing. Around this time, our Life is One community was started in a serious way. Nobody set up any plans. Number of people were increased continually. Some brothers got a job and brought money to the church. Most of the brothers did not have any job, so we had to feed many people. We had to prepare winter kimchi, 400 of cabbages, and wait to make bean paste with 2 bushel of yellow beans. We had to pay much money for food, and the amount of work of household chores were beyond our imagination. We lived at the house where magnolia was blooming for a quite long time. At first, Sister Won-ja Kim and Brother Hyun Young Shin got married and took care of all the household chores. Next, Sister Soon-hee Lee took care of the kitchen work. Later, she got married with Brother Soon Taek-woo, and they're still living with us until today. Brother Soon Taek-woo, brother drove my car and took me to various churches all over Korea. Maybe we continued on for 15 years. We did not have any car accident. We drove such a long and rough road. We drove so carefully. I learned how to drive later on. I could understand the mind of Brother Wu. Because of my poor health, I could not continue on. Now he visits church alone in place of me. Sister Soon-hee took care of household chores for us under such difficult environment without any complaining, so quietly that we can commit everything to her and we're able to lead comfortable life. Now they're living together with my first daughter, Eun-hye, and my son-in-law, Chae-hyung Kim, at the house which was near Nambu Market, Daemyeong Ildong, where there was the magnolia tree. We lived together with so many brothers and sisters. My family, 7 members, 3 children, mom, niece, my wife and I, Brother Suntek and Sister Suni, 4 to 5 brothers in the basement room next door, over 10 brothers. How complicated it was. Later on, brother got married and became independent. As they got a job, life became stable. My niece Kyungsu got married with brother Sung Soo Kim. Even my niece had some negative conditions. Brother Sung Soo covered up them and decided to get married. My big burden left. I wanted to express my gratitude to him, but to my sorry, I couldn't express enough. I had to leave my family and travel all over Korea. Brother Sunguk took care of my old mother. She could not move well because she was too old. My wife could not take care of my mom alone, so he helped my wife so much. My mom even could not go to the bathroom alone. He had to help her. Brother Sunguk Kim helped her for 2 to 3 years. My mom passed away when I was in Daegu. I could be right next to her when she breathed her last breath. Thank you. Hallelujah. May God bless every one of you. Thank you again. Thank you. Thank you.